I'm really happy that you're here with me today or that you're watching later on video. I'm really excited today to talk with Danielle Girard. She's one of my favorite authors. I discovered her I think it's about 6 years ago or so, when I was offered her first book in her Badland series, Whiteout. And if you have not read that series, you are missing out if you're a thriller lover. Let me tell you, they are fabulous 5-star books. Her most recent release is Pinky Swear, and this is another excellent thriller. And this would make a great book club selection because there's a lot in this book to discuss and to think about. And I'm going to talk with her about all of that, as well as her writing style and what inspired the books and all sorts of fun things. So let me say, oh, she's here. So let me have her join us.
Hi, Jake. How are you?
I'm great. It's so nice to see you.
I know that I'm trying to fix my camera so it's not so low. Thank you so much for having me. How fun.
Oh, I'm just always honored when an author says yes.
Of
It just
course.
really makes my day because I love talking with authors whose work I love and finding out all your secrets of how you go about putting these fabulous stories together. And I can't write fiction. I'll write you a
Oh,
legal brief all day, but I've tried to write fiction. I have no talent for it. So I stand in awe
well, thank
of
you.
those who can.
I did
Um,
write a legal brief if it makes you feel better, so there you go.
we all have our talents, right?
Yes, yes.
Now you came back from Thriller Fest.
I did. I was at Thriller Fest this last weekend. It's always super fun and it goes by so quickly. It's madness. But yeah, I stayed Sunday because it was Mother's Day and my son lives in New York City. So I stayed Sunday and hung out with him and my brothers and one of my brothers has a new baby and then I came home yesterday.
Oh, so you must be tired.
I mean, perpetually, but I've been sort of on tour since February. So yes, I've been a little bit tired, happy to be home. But it was really fun to meet readers and booksellers and get out there. So, but now it's time to get back to work.
I've always wanted to go to Thriller Fest, but the time of year just never seems to work for me. One of these times I'm going to get there.
You will get there. It is really, really fun.
Well, I see the pictures all over Instagram, and I have such a big case of FOMO.
It's so funny. I mean, I have FOMO from it too because there's so many things going on at so many different times. You're never in all the places. So, you see about like a hundredth of what happens. And there's people that were there that I never even saw. So it's wonderful and chaotic.
Well, I would be fangirling and embarrassing myself, I'm sure.
I fangirl. I mean, we're all doing it. So you're in good company.
Oh gosh. Well, that just makes me happier that you said yes, because I know you've had a busy time and you're out promoting your new book.
Yes, I have it here
I
too.
love this book.
I Thank you. Thank you.
It is
I
so
really love it
good.
too.
It's so clever. We just have to talk. Okay, so let's go back because there's a lot of things I have to ask you that if I do not
Absolutely.
ask you, I will get messages saying, you didn't ask her that. So, where'd you grow up?
I grew up outside San Francisco in the Oakland Hills.
Okay, I thought you were a California girl.
I
Woohoo.
am, yeah. Most of those books, a lot of my books have been set there for sure.
Yeah, right. And then you went to Cornell.
I did. I went to Cornell, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. And you started out wanting to be a doctor?
At Cornell, I was pre-med, yeah.
How
And
did
it was
you
a
end up in
minor.
finance? How did you make that
Yeah,
pivot?
right, right. I did apply to medical school, and then some factors, some sort of like my dad was a doctor and he went through sort of a really bad lawsuit around the time that I was like getting serious about it. And so I sort of rethought it. My mother had been in finance, so I just decided to try that. I was there for 10, I did that for 10 years, which was great. I wrote my first books while I was working in finance, but neither of those things is really what I loved.
So was it finance in San Francisco?
Yes, I was.
Oh.
Well, the first thing, actually, I was in Cincinnati for a few years working for Fidelity Investments, and then we moved back to the Bay Area where our kids were born, and I worked for Barclays Global Investors there.
Okay, so downtown San Francisco, financial just okay. I get the picture because I'm a California girl.
Yes,
90
exactly.
minutes from the city. I get it. Yep.
Yeah,
But now
exactly.
you're in
Especially
Montana.
yeah, so then in 2003, we were so I was working, in at 9/11
Oh yeah.
in finance in San Francisco, but with some of the guys in, at Cantor Fitzgerald, Gerald in particular, and just heard those stories and I was pregnant with my son. I was leaving my daughter on one side of the bridge to go to work on the other, and I was like, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. So we thought of sort of moving somewhere a little quieter, a little slower to raise the kids, and so we did. We moved to Montana in 2003.
It's funny that you mentioned that because one of my best friends lived in LA and we went to New York City when they were still cleaning up the site
Yeah,
and they had the barbed wire fence up, but they had the names
yeah,
and some of her colleagues, because she was in accounting and trust, that's what
yeah,
she did. Um, we went and found their names
yeah,
and put flowers on the wall, and it was really, really emotional.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, and I know what you mean because for, a few years I'd have to go into the city or to Oakland to the Bay Area on business.
yeah.
And every time I get near one of those bridges, I go, not today, because
Yeah,
I
I
think,
know. You do, and I think especially with like a young, like a little, like a baby. Both my husband and I worked in the city, and our daughter was on the east side of the bridge,
right.
across the Bay Bridge. So it wasn't, we just didn't feel good anymore.
Yeah.
So we just needed, and it was a good move for us. It was an incredible place to raise kids, and I've loved living here.
Well, and you had already been here. Well, maybe you're too young. The Loma Prieta earthquake.
Yes, well, I'm not, no, I'm not too young, but yes, I was actually in college.
Okay, well, the
Um,
Bay Bridge broke, it fell,
Right, right. I was
and
in
people were
college.
isolated.
Yeah, and then 580 collapsed on
Yes,
itself. Yeah, my
yes.
sister was in high school, but I was already at Cornell by then. But
Okay.
yeah, a lot of drama. And then there was the big Oakland fires that
Yep.
happened while I was also in college. So I missed a lot of drama. But
Yep. Yeah, I woke up 9/11 on the 28th floor of the Bonaventure in LA. I was on a business trip and I was supposed to fly home that morning, and you know what happened.
yeah,
I ended up on I-5 racing to get to Lodi. I just wanted to be anywhere that wasn't a big city, get home to my
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
So
So
anyway,
yeah, yeah.
I
It's
get it. I
beautiful.
totally get it. And so
Yeah.
Montana, I'm sure, is a lot more peaceful.
It is. It's quiet. It's beautiful here with the mountains. We just went hiking this morning. It's a really quiet, lovely place to write.
Yep.
I really feel fortunate, and I get to go to cities. I get to go, into New York.
Mhm.
I travel still quite a bit, so it's not like I'm here all the time. I get a chance to see the big cities too.
Sure. Yeah, a little variety, right? Were you a big reader when you were a kid?
I wasn't as big a reader as I feel like a lot of my, author friends are. I did read, Nancy Drew and those stories when I was younger, and then kind of a lot of sort of the Agatha Christie's, but not very much in high school. I was pretty social in high school, so I, didn't read as much. Although I always had a lot of sort of stories in my brain. So,
Yeah.
but then I became a very big reader after college, and I'm a huge reader now. Yeah.
And that's when you went and got your master's.
I went and got my master's in my 30s, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was wonderful. I finally studied the thing I wanted to study probably from the get-go, so that was fun.
And that was in North Carolina. So was that one of those where you didn't have to be in residence? You could, yeah.
Yes, they call them low residence, right? And my very
Right.
first instructor there was Elizabeth Strout. So I know. I'm very, very lucky to have gotten to work with her. She's amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
that is amazing. Wow. Talk about getting lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So then the bug bit and you
What's
started
that?
writing.
Yeah. Well, I had already published 4 books by then. But I wanted to write something more literary. So I went back and sort of tried that and it didn't fit. I went back to writing thrillers. I think Pinkies were sort of the result of, wanting to be a literary suspense author, really.
Ah, well, you've
Yeah.
got a lot of books. And when they sent me the book with all of the publicity material, I noted that you're in your 25th year, that you're
Yes.
celebrating that. That's a
Yes.
milestone.
I know, isn't that crazy? My very first book came out in August of 2000. So now I'm almost 26 years, but yes, when we were putting together those materials and starting to send out the arcs, it had been 25 years.
Yeah. Wow. And you've got 3 series under your belt.
I do.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tell the folks about just little blurbs about your series because I love the Badland series.
Thank you. So the first series is the Rookie Club series. That's set in
Mhm.
San Francisco, and it's a group of women who started patrolling when there weren't very many women in police department, and then they were promoted into different positions. So one of them is a homicide inspector, one of them is a sex crimes inspector. There's a sharpshooter. So there's this fun kind of each book features sort of one of them, and
Okay.
then the spinoff from that is the Schwartzman series,
Hmm.
which is Annabelle Schwartzman is a medical examiner, and she was
Yeah.
in the last of those Rookie Club books, and then
Right.
that was her series. And then the third series, as you said, is the Badland thriller series that is set in North Dakota. Because once I lived in Montana, people kept saying you need to write a series in Montana, and so I said, well, no, there's no murders in Montana because that's where my children live. So North Dakota, I chose North Dakota.
Well, and I discovered you because somebody sent me Whiteout. And I'll never forget this. I sat down on the couch in my living room on a Saturday morning and I didn't move. I read
I
the
love
whole
that.
book the
Me too.
first day. I could not put it down. Then I was totally hooked. But I just had to laugh because for anybody who's been to the Midwest, I was born in South Dakota, but we moved here when I was 6 months old, but we used to go back and visit, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
anybody who's a fan of the movie Fargo, basically,
Yes.
you have this detective in this little town, and her dream is to be a big city detective,
In Fargo, right. That's so true.
which just reeled me in from the beginning because I was like, oh, I just have to read this. And they're so good. Are there ever going to be more in that series?
I don't know. I'm not sort of not. I don't have any on the horizon, but I always feel like it's be fun to visit a lot of those characters. So you never know.
Okay, well, I'm here for it.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll keep
I'm
that in
here for it.
mind.
Okay. So, Pinky Swear now, this is a departure. It's a
Yes.
little different.
Yeah.
Tell me what was the motivation for Pinky Swear?
Well, there's a scene in Pinky's Row which you know if you've read it. There
And
was
no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. That
Okay.
came to me during the pandemic, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out sort of who was in that scene, who those people were, what was going on, and Pinky's were as a result of that.
I think I probably can figure out which scene that was.
Yes, it's a very visceral,
Hmm.
descriptive, active scene.
And pivotal.
And pivotal. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I get it. So this book is interesting because, like you said, you wanted to do more of a literary approach, and you nailed it because there's so many layers.
Thank you.
And first of all, we should start out by telling folks a little bit of what it's about. You want to give us the elevator pitch?
Of course. Pinky Swear is about a woman named Lexi McNeil who wants a baby and can't get pregnant. Her best friend from high school, and there were three of them, one died tragically when they were seniors, and the two girls lost touch. But her best friend comes back into her life and offers to be her surrogate. And it seems like the perfect solution until 4 days before the baby is due, and her friend disappears. So,
Right. Now, it's really interesting because you touch on, first of all, fertility. And
yeah,
you have this woman, it's a very common problem in
yeah,
America. I know a lot of people who went through this. So you have this woman who wants a baby, but it's complicated. She has a complicated marriage
yeah.
without
She's
giving
already,
away
yeah,
too much.
yeah. She's married to an older man who has two grown children and doesn't want any more children. But I really loved Henry as a character because
Yeah.
I feel like he doesn't say to her, "Well, you have this baby and we're done." He really says, "Well, I don't want to have any more children, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't pursue it." And so she does, but she has to do it by herself. She gets a sperm donor, and yeah, I mean, but it's the first thing in her whole life that she's really had to do all by herself, you know?
I did really like Henry. It's very heartbreaking because they love each other.
Yeah.
And it's not like they just want to be rid of each other, but
Nope.
they're at these different places in
Yeah.
their lives and their psyches. And you can really feel that tension, which again is something a book club could just have all kinds of fun discussing. Like, what do you do if you
Yeah.
meet this person and you love him, but he doesn't want any more kids and you've always wanted kids, and that push pull.
And I feel like so much of the book are those kinds of questions where there's no really like one good answer, which I think is
Right.
how life is, right? I mean, somebody can be bad and good. They can have altruistic motivations and also more nefarious ones. And they can be very closely, braided together where it's hard to sort of pull one from the other.
Well, and the other thing that struck me as I was thinking about this is there's no compromise.
Right.
It's not when you file a lawsuit and somebody rammed you with their car and you want 100,000 and they want to pay you 75. You can land at 85 and everybody goes home. You
Right.
you can't say, well, we'll have the kid half the year.
Right. Right. No.
It's
Yeah.
all or nothing with a kid.
Yeah.
So,
Big
oh
life
God,
changes. Yeah.
just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And of course, she has the two stepsons.
Yeah, and she loves them. And actually, I think they're really excited to meet this baby. I think there's a sense, I don't know how the story ends. I think you can read the ending a few different ways, but I think those boys they're not closed off to the idea that there's going to be a stepsister.
Right. And I think, that's another issue you could discuss at your book club. Like, could you be happy with stepchildren?
Right, right.
Is that enough? Or does it have to be your own child? And then the other issue that I saw in the book was, well, how far are you willing to go? Because women go through these cycles of IVF,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then they
yeah,
start pondering these other possibilities of adoption. There's
yeah.
so many different ways to be a parent.
Yes.
At what point do you settle on one, and does that one make you happy? Or does it
Yep.
have to be do you have to bear the child? Or,
Yeah.
there's just so much to it. And then you get into the whole friendship angle. Now, this was fascinating to me because you have these three girls. They were
Yeah.
such good friends.
Yeah. Family. They were practically family to one another.
Right. And they were leaving each other a notebook that they wrote in.
Yes.
Well, that took me right back to high school and all the notes my best friend and I left in the locker.
Yes, right?
She called me one day not too long ago. She goes, I'm cleaning out the basement. I have a bunch of notes you left me in the locker. Do you want them?
I love that. I'd be like, yes, let's see what I'm sure they're wealth of information.
Yeah. So, that's such a relatable thing for female
Yeah.
readers, of course.
Yeah, I think right.
But then there's also secrets.
Yeah.
So one of the friends turns up, and this is not a spoiler because it's in the synopsis, turns up and it's been 16 years.
Yeah, right. And there's a lot of that's another sort of thing that I think is fun to explore is what would you do? What would you do if you lost touch with somebody, but they came to you and they need, Mara needs Lexi's help. She doesn't have any family left and she's in a pretty desperate spot. So, you know, the question is what would you do if that happened to you?
Well, I'm suspicious because I'm a lawyer, so don't ask me.
Yeah, right. I
I'm a
know it
private
wouldn't be
investigator.
easy. Right. I mean, it wouldn't be easy. You have your own. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's right. But I think, I really do feel like, those girls really, they were sisters. I think it would be like, I think Lexi felt like it was her sister that showed
Right.
up. And Lexi was an only child. So, of course, the girls had they were extra, sort of extra special.
But that's another question. Do you just let this person back into your life, or do you go, where have you been?
Yeah.
And what have you been up to?
Yeah, but you remember those, like, I don't know if this happens to you, but I feel like there's this thing that happens too when we reunite with people we knew a long, long time, over lots of years. You do this thing where you sort of catch up on like 10 minutes and then you're all of a sudden back to like, do you remember? And, it's sort of, I think there's a built-in trust there that Mara taps into.
Yeah, absolutely. So friendship, of course, is another theme in this book. How far would you go for a friend? How much would you do for them to help them out? And of course, they both Lexi and Mara have ways to help each other. But
Right.
then it turns into this major mystery, which I don't want to give too much away, but it's you start out, and this is a very interesting way that you open the book. You're doing like a countdown, like a timeline.
Yeah, because there's sort of this built-in time, ticking clock with the baby when the baby's
Right.
due.
Right. To the due
Not
date.
that they're always born on their due dates, but the closer they get to that, the more unnerved they are, of course.
Sure. Yeah. And so you start out, it's one day before the due date. You have a prologue, which of course, okay, well, I can't stop reading now. There's no
Thank you.
way. And
Thank
then
you.
the next one is 16 days before the due date. But then you also, in alternating chapters, go back to when they were adolescents and they were friends and what was going on then.
Right. There's about, yeah, I think in this course of the book, there's like 8 or 10 of those chapters that are from when they were in high school. Yeah.
So that brings me to my next question. Are you a plotter or are you a pantser?
I'm such a pantser. I usually I like for instance, I knew one scene in this book. And once I figured out who was in it, that sort of at least pointed me in a direction. But I don't know what's going to happen until sort of it happens.
Okay.
And I usually have some sense of like what the ending might look like, but so that sometimes means I know kind of who might have done it in a lot of those, in the sort of traditional mysteries and stuff that I've written, but not always. Sometimes it changes. I wish I wish I could feel more organized about it, but it really it just happens how it happens.
Okay, so I always have to ask people who are real pantsers.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself sometimes having to do a lot of revisions
Oh yeah.
because you work yourself into something and go, that doesn't work?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, sometimes it takes a whole draft of a book to even know what the book is about. So, but I mean, I think that's sort of part of the process, unfortunately. But I think it's not always I mean, I think by the time you get to 100, 150 pages of a book, you really do have a better sense of sort of what you're writing. And so then it's not like you get to the end and think, oh, wow, this doesn't work and I'm surprised, because you can kind of know if it's going to work or not as you go, right? By the time you're halfway through, if you don't have a sense for where you're headed, then you might be on the wrong path.
Okay, so then how do you pitch the book? Like
Well,
you have to sell the idea, right?
yeah, I mean, I mean, really the way I've done it is to write the whole book before I sell it. So, and then if I have like a 2 book contract, like I do right now. So I have another book that's coming after Pinky Swear, and I just was very vague. It's a book about a long marriage that fails, and these are the things I know about it. So I gave them, but that's, so I have some hooks. Like obviously there's a dead body because, that's what I do. And these are the points of view, but I don't know exactly how it all unfolds yet.
So do characters just appear? Like I've heard writers say, I was just typing and this character just showed up and said, put me in it.
Well, it's funny. Yes, the larger characters, kind of emerge more slowly, but some small characters, like in Pinky's Red, there's the 2 men in Philadelphia, Terrence and Damon, and they literally came out of nowhere. I can't even tell you, but I had the most fun with them, and I've had the thought, like, I wonder if they could be in a different book because I like them so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, it's the weird thing is I think I sort of sometimes feel like I'm not, it's not me doing the writing, but I'm channeling somebody who's doing the writing.
Well, and that brings up, there's another theme in this book that you could talk about, which is forgiveness.
Yes, actually, I think
Which,
that's the thing. That's probably the biggest theme that I wanted to explore is, sort of how do we make, bad decisions and then double down on bad decisions, and so they spiral, and then how do we, release ourselves from all the blame of that and also be forgiven by those people that we hurt in the process. So yeah, that is for sure something and
yeah,
it's something that interests me actually, in a larger sense. I'm curious about sort of how we, I guess maybe because now I'm in the second half of my life, and I'm wondering, like, how do you make amends for things you've done, and also walk away when, walk away from relationships that don't work, from bad situations, even if there's a ton of history. So those things interest me.
Well, that Philadelphia crew, they're very fascinating characters. And if you wrote a book about just them, believe me, I'd read it. The backstory, that could
Thank you.
be amazing.
Yeah, there might be something there. I really did. And even Gladys Knight, I really do appreciate them.
Yeah, I had to go back and go, wait, did I read that right?
Yeah, her name, I know. My
Well,
editor
not
was
just
like,
that, but their whole story and their relationship. I was like,
oh,
do I have this
oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's another thing,
Yeah,
like, again, like how does, I think that's right, how she's trying to make amends for something that are, for what happened with her son. So,
right.
and,
Which is
I do
another
think
question.
that's,
Can you make amends for if you didn't do it?
no, I mean, I don't know if no, probably not. But, and it's likely that the people that were involved would never forgive her, but they would blame her, even though it wasn't technically her fault, right? I bet you that's really common that the parents get blamed. But I think that's what she's trying to do because she doesn't know how else to live in the world now.
Yeah. We had a situation in town.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to give away too much. I'm trying to think how to phrase this. There was a family, it was at the church I grew up in.
Yeah,
And, the mom came to church and
yeah,
held her head high. The dad didn't come to church anymore, but the mom did. And nobody ostracized her. She was
yeah.
embraced by the congregation. People understood.
Good. Well, that's lovely. I mean, I think I'd like to think that's how it would go, but I'm sure it goes lots of different ways.
Lots of different ways, yeah.
Yeah.
So Mara is fascinating too, because
Yeah.
she's had a very interesting 16 years and
Mhm.
then shows up. And it's interesting that she chose to come and find Lexi, which then talks about their connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if she had a lot of other options, right? I mean,
Uh,
I do think Lexi might have been the only person she really felt like she could find, and have a chance for, somebody to help her.
right. So then once you come up with this idea, I'm curious, I'm always amazed because you do have these different time frames going.
Yeah.
And I've heard different authors say, some say, no, I just write it in a linear fashion. So this chapter, and then I jump back, and then, I'm constantly back
Yeah.
and forth. Some say they write them completely separately and merge. So how do you
Yeah.
do it?
Well, if I know that there's going to be two timelines, I would write, as you said, sort of in order, like present tense, a past chapter. But the way Pinky Star was originally drafted, those chapters didn't exist. It was just Lexi, just the current time frame. And what we realized is that we needed to understand the relationship between Lexi and Mara before the baby goes missing, right?
Got it.
Because we need to understand why Lexi would have let her be the surrogate. If this is a woman who was, prone to disappearing, it doesn't seem like a very smart bet. So we had to go back and look at what those three girls were like when they were in high school. So that's where those came from. So those were interjected later.
I see. Okay, that I understand now because I kept thinking, how did she do this so seamlessly? But
Well, that's
you
lots
had
of
one
revision too.
narrative, so then you could plot them.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, you had an interesting quote in the materials that were sent out. You said, each of us have suffered a betrayal at the hands of someone we loved and trusted, and I wanted to explore how we recover from betrayal and allow ourselves to be vulnerable again.
Yeah.
You were very transparent on the internet a few years ago.
Yes. Yeah, I went through a really hard divorce. My ex-husband had a long affair with his massage therapist, which is actually what the next book is about. In some ways, it's obviously not it's not a memoir. It's a thriller. But that's something that changes sort of you, or it changes your genetics. And it does change. And I have a new partner who actually lives here with me, and he's got two younger children. So we've this whole crazy new household thing going on, which is amazing, and he's incredible. But I'm very skittish, and
Congratulations.
thank you. He has to do a lot of that's your trauma talking. Like, of course you don't trust that that, this, because I was with my ex-husband for over 30 years,
Right.
so you really, it's just, you don't really, there was a lot of things I took for granted. Clearly it wasn't, I guess, a perfect marriage, but I thought it was a good marriage. And we raised two incredible kids and we traveled, and there's a lot of really wonderful things about it. So you sort of have to look now and think, at the person that you're with and think, well, this feels good. And what did I miss in the last. And obviously I have a very different type of partner than my ex-husband, but I may always be skittish. Um, but it wasn't an option to just be closed off. Like, I'm a partner person, and I have a lot of love to give, and I wanted to find a partner again. So.
My purpose in asking the question was not to dredge
Oh
anything
yeah,
up.
sorry. Yeah, no.
No, and I didn't want you to think that I was trying to, throw you into the past. But
Like you said, I was very candid. It's out in the internet. You can read all about it. Yeah.
yeah, so my question really was, authors have to spend a lot of time doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You have to be online and you have to interact. I mean, it's not like the old days where, you
Right.
didn't have
Right.
online to sell books. You just put them out and hopefully somebody bought them and found them. And I'm just wondering, looking back on that chapter, how do you feel now about how transparent you were? Are you okay with it? Or have you had time to go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have? I mean,
No,
how did that play out for you? I'm
I mean,
curious.
I'm an open book. I'm not good with sort of surface chit chat. And I've had a lot, and I also think, I mean, I feel like I'm a strong, independent, you know, attractive woman who this happened to. And
Mhm.
so, and people who didn't know may look at me and think, well, it never happened to her. It happened to me, for instance, but it would never happen to her. And I think what I wanted women to know was, one, it happens to all of us. It's not our fault. We're not to blame. I didn't do something wrong I mean, I was sure it wasn't perfect, but I didn't deserve this. And
Right.
also, you know what? We'll get past it. We will be okay again. We will have new experiences. We will fall in love again. And I just wanted people to know that this is where I was coming from, and this is what I believed. And I haven't announced my new partner. He's not internet. What do they call it? Instagram official, because it still feels really new, and he's got some younger children. But yeah. But I think when I do that, hopefully women will see that and know that, hey, look, okay, she did recover and move on. And I've had a lot of women and men, but mostly women, reach out to me and say thank you for being so candid, and and women who've been through it and said you'll be okay, which was lovely too.
Good. Okay, good. I'm glad it all worked out and it's a good
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Because I've watched you posting and I've kind of thought, oh, I hope she's okay. And
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's,
mean, it was a
and
hard time.
it does happen. It happens more
Okay.
than I think people realize.
No, I
And
know. I know.
isn't always discovered.
Yeah, I know. I know. And I know. And then you just start to think about, well, wow, that was 30 years, what was going on. But I also wrote a Huffington Post article about it, about the discovery of the affair. And I think what I'm, to your point a little bit, what I'm most excited about is that I've done it. If people want to find out about that, they can read about it, they can read the article, they can see my previous posts. And now I'm just looking forward to writing a book about sort of related to it, but I don't need to dredge it up anymore. It's out there if you want it. If people are curious and don't know, go read it. It's all
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's
It's all
past
there.
history now.
Yeah, now it's history. Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me about this new book.
Well, I don't. It's still really new, but it is a story about a long marriage, and it's a very, very close knit family. A mother and her husband of like 35 years, and their two grown daughters, and then they have a grandson, and they are up at their family cabin, when and sort of fooling around, when somebody shows up and gets shot. And the question is, everybody has a secret, and who did it and why. And in that, of course, is the questions about, again, about marriage, about what we would do for family.
Oh,
So, and
neat.
it's early days. It'll probably be out. it's slated for early 2028.
That's a long time.
I'm so sorry. I
I
know.
was
They're
hoping you were
taking
going to say
so long.
27.
Not at this point. No,
Okay.
I think early 28, but 28.
All right. Well, I'll sit tight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody being patient with me.
Now, you are so busy. You also, I want to plug your podcast.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have a podcast called Killer Women where I
You have a
interview.
lot of episodes.
I know. I think I just was, uh, what are we like almost 220, I think, right now. Yeah, it is. It's been, I mean, it's such a labor of love. I get to talk to women I admire and women I'm good friends with, and also meet the ones who are just having their debut novels, which is, such a wonderful and exciting thing. So,
So for anybody that's curious, go to YouTube and you
yeah,
can find them
or
and
you can listen,
watch.
yeah, or Spotify or iTunes podcast or whatever is your favorite. You can listen or watch. But yeah, it's really fun. I really do enjoy that.
Yeah, I like to watch.
Oh yeah, I understand that. Me too. I'm sort of a watcher too. Plus, then you can
Yeah,
see all the beautiful covers and yeah,
but you've talked to some of the best,
yeah. I've been really
some
lucky.
of
I
the
really
best in the
have.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. And it's a great resource for those of us who want to hear the backstories and the inspirations. And
Yeah, we
I
talk
always
a lot
find that
about
just as
process
interesting as
and
the
right.
book almost, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and we do sort of dig into the theme, the parts of it that are about the women part. So I don't interview male suspense authors. I mean, I've got lots of friends and I read a lot of male suspense, but I had to sort of cut down the potential groupings a little bit. And I find the older I get, the more I'm interested in sort of the woman perspective on things. So this allows me to do that.
Well, and there are a lot of debut authors, females,
Crazy, crazy numbers. Yeah.
and I can't keep up. I mean,
I
I try, but
know. I
there's a
could just
lot.
do a show. I think I could do a show of just debuts. It's that busy. Yeah, for sure.
What changes do you see? That jogs something in my mind. What changes do you see in publishing now? You're 25, 26 years into it today versus when you started, other than the internet. What else has changed
Yeah, I
about
mean,
the
ebooks are
industry
such.
for you?
Now we're dealing with AI. I think it's changing. It's just change. I think it changes all the time. In some ways, I think it's hard. It's harder than ever to get a book printed and do well in the business. But there's also more books than ever out, and there's more, sort of avenues for publishing and getting your stuff out there than ever before. So, I think the tricky thing about being an author is you have to at some points focus on the business. But I think the best advice I can give to anybody who wants to write a book is to really just not let that part you're going to get an agent, and that is his or her job, to deal with sort of the business of it. Because I think it can be paralyzing if you worry too much about what's going to happen to this once I finish writing it.
But as a new writer starting out, a lot of these folks are maintaining full-time jobs.
Oh yeah, no, and I think that's wise too, because I think if you put so much pressure on the writing, it's really hard to do it. It's a little bit of magic that goes into creating a book. At least
Yeah.
that's been my experience.
But it's amazing to me because it's so time consuming. For instance, Pinky Swear, how long was it from when you got that inspiration, that idea came to you, until somebody put the first advanced copy in your hands? What was the
Oh
timeline?
God, I mean so the idea came to me during the pandemic, so 21 maybe. So yeah, that's 5 years. So it's a long time. But of course I published other books in between,
Right.
so there's a sort of cycle, like a story will develop in the back of your brain while you're working on something else and copy editing something else.
Right.
So it's not like, thankfully, you don't have to live the whole life cycle of one book at a time,
Right.
because then we would all be waiting a long time for books.
Well, an established author, but a new one.
Yeah, but I think with the new one, I think this advice is the same. You finish
Yeah.
you write when you can, you draft that book, and then you revise it to the best of your ability. Try to pitch it to an agent, get an agent, and then keep writing. Write another book, because when you do finally, whatever it happens, and you sell a book, one, you'll have the experience of having writing more books under your belt, which is a good one, and two, you might
Right.
have a backlist to offer. You might be able to say, look at this, I've got 3 books. Which one do you want to hear about first? Which
Right.
is a great position to be in.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. And of
Yeah.
course, writers are going to write, right?
I mean, that's all we can do. That's really the only thing we can do. And if I don't do it,
Mhm.
I'm crazy. So
Yeah, right. If you're really a writer, that's what you want to do.
yeah, that's all you
So,
want to do. Yeah.
all right. So I know you read a lot. Give us maybe like 3 books that you've read recently that you recommend to people who need to add to those stacks. Like, I'm not even going to show you what's behind me. I don't want you to see it.
I know. Mine is really scary too. I just finished Frederick Bachman's The Winners, which is one of the series in the Beartown hockey series. And the first of those is sort of a suspense novel. They actually each have a lot of suspense. I love his book so much. So he is. I'm just looking at my shelves now to figure out what I've just recently read. I also read V. Schwab's Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil.
Mhm.
She's incredible. And on deck, I've got Jennifer Hillier's new book.
Oh,
I got the art for that, Heart of Glass.
oh
Which this was a pain in the butt for her to write. It took her like a few years. It was a hard process. So she'll be on Killer Women to talk about that. I'm super
yeah.
excited.
Okay.
I just read the new Jane Harper. I love Jane Harper. She's amazing. So I have the chance to read a lot of wonderful. I've got Kimberly McCrate's new book I'm working on, Someone Else's Husband. I'm listening or reading to talk to her next week. So, I really do read like 100 or something books a year. So I've always got a bunch of things going.
I just got that one. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, it's
Somebody
exciting.
else's husband. I got that
Somebody
one.
else's husband. I'm about a quarter of the way through and I'm really enjoying it.
I still get so excited when I get a new
I
book.
know. I mean, I do too, even though because of the podcast, and I have a group. Thriller Thursday is a newsletter on Substack that we talk about all things industry. There's like I think 7 or 8. I'm trying to remember now. 8 of thriller writers, so you can go check that out. We also do little mini reviews.
Oh,
And
okay.
between the two, I feel like I can get my hands on any book. But it still feels like Christmas whenever you open a book. The unfortunate thing is my TBR stack is a little out of control.
Yeah, I'm not turning this camera. There's no way. And
But
I'm not even going to
it's
tell you that 2 more came in the mail today.
I love it. I mean, it is sort of just an embarrassment of riches. And I send them off to Operation Paperback, which is an
Mm,
organization that helps deliver books to our military servicemen and women.
really?
So it's operationpaperback.org, and you go on, you sign up, and they'll, once you have a bunch of books, you can say, I have 20 books to mail, and they can send you like a VA hospital or what do you call one team of officers. They're not called teams. There's another word, but clearly my brain isn't working. Anyway, a troop, and you can send your books off to them, media mail, and it's a great way to sort of pay it forward to our service people.
I had no idea about this
Yeah,
organization. What a great idea.
I know it's
I'm going
fun.
to
It's
check that
wonderful.
out because I just put them in little free libraries around town.
Yeah, which
But
is, I mean, that's lovely too. But I think every once in a while, I do this thing now, and I think I maybe done it for 3 or 4 years, where I send around my birthday, which is in the fall, I send at least twice as many books as I am years old. So, it's over
oh,
100 now. And it feels like a good way. That means they get them probably right around before Christmas if I send them off around my birthday. And it feels really good to do it. It makes me feel really good. And I do get lovely notes back from some of the people that are like, it really made my day.
yeah. Oh, I'm
So,
definitely going to look into this because I'm a big believer in supporting our men and women
yes.
who are
Oh,
serving. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
come from a family where my dad was a veteran, so I'm a big
Yeah. Yeah.
believer. Yeah. World War
I
II. So
I think, yeah, I've got those in my family too, and I think it's really, really important. So
it is. We
it's
need
a
them.
nice, and it's a very easy thing to do. Once you're signed up with them, they do the work of collecting all the addresses. So
It's a great idea. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
yeah, thank you.
Oh, excellent. Well, this has just been delightful.
Jeannie, thank you for having me. I loved coming to chat with you.
I love talking to you, and like I said, I remember the day I got the first book of yours that I read, and I didn't move. So whatever you write, send it. I will be
Thank you
reading.
so much. I really
I
appreciate
love
it,
it.
and thanks to everyone who's listening. So I will we'll see you out there in the world.
Yep, absolutely. Get some rest.
I will. I know. Did I sound like I'm tired? It's been a whirlwind, but
No, but I'm
um,
just, I know how this is with travel and everything, and I'm sure tonight you
yes,
need to.
yeah, it was nice to be in my own bed last night. I have to tell you, I really
Yeah.
appreciated that. So thank
All
you so
right,
much for
great.
having me in
Take
Pinky
care.
Swear. Appreciate you,
Yes,
Janie.
everybody go get Pinky Swear. You will not regret it. And do not plan to start reading at 11 o'clock if you have to get up and go to work the next morning because you will oversleep.
Thank
You are
you.
not going to stop turning pages. I'll warn you right now. It's okay for me because I'm retired, but
I
if you
know
have to go
that.
earn a living, don't do that.
That's the best compliment you can get is you kept me from going to bed because
Oh no,
we
it was
all
about
know
three
how
o'clock
important
when
that
I
is.
finished it. But I'm notorious because I've always, my natural rhythms were always to stay up late. And when I was working and I had to get up early, I just sort of run around on 4 or 5 hours of sleep all week and then try to catch up on the weekends. But now I don't have to worry about that. That's the luxury of
That's
saying I've
lovely.
had
I
enough
know.
fun and I'm done and I'm taking the pension.
I'm so glad it sounds like you're enjoying it, and that's amazing.
I am. All right. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye, Janie.
Bye bye.